following podcast has an explicit tag. Consider yourself warned.
One, two, three into the four. Snoop Doggy Doggy.
Well, it looks as though it's almost 2 weeks late, but we're finally on to episode 13. Jen, I think we hit our stride for a bit there. We may have peaked already, and are you worried at all?
No, I'm not worried because I don't have the fucking energy to worry. And I'm sorry, this time was my fault. Some horribly nasty, horrific virus came into my house and knocked us all out for like 2 weeks. So
Seriously, I saw the pictures. It was like
fault.
all militant and shit too.
Oh my god, this fucking thing was like, yeah, fuck you, I'm Ebola, bitch. Yeah, y'all haven't heard about Ebola for a while, huh?
And Obama and his FEMA camps, I tell ya.
Throwback Thursday, Ebola.
Actually, it's Thursday. Holy shit! And I'm not at work. This feels so weird to me.
Fuck you.
No, like generally, like
What, cactus?
normally I'm at work and like halfway through my 16-hour day. Like holy shit, this is fucking weird for me. So yes, that's right. Today is Thursday, October the 15th, and I am partially to blame as well, just because, as I said last time, taking on a bit of a new job, and just with all the training and certification bullshit, blah blah blah. My month of October has just been absolutely ridiculous. Like I've had to schedule my masturbation. That's just how anal I've had to be about my schedule.
Man, there is always time for masturbation. I don't give a shit if it's the last 5 minutes of your fucking night. You make time to be off.
Well,
That is a motherfucking priority.
I was thinking about it doing it in the car, and then I realized maybe doing 100 on the highway is not the best time to pull it out and, you know, give myself a stroke. I mean, because
Why the fuck not? Live dangerously.
see, normally I'd adhere by that, but I'm just sitting there and I'm going, it could get kind of explosive and kind of messy, and I don't want some cop to see me swerving and think I'm drinking.
In ways than one.
Exactly. And some cop pulls me over and he goes, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I go, I want to hear what you have to say, officer, because in all honesty, what you think is what I kind of want to go with, because the truth is probably a lot more embarrassing.
It's toaster strudel icing. I swear I'm just really hungry.
Yes, exactly. So do we have any news? Oh, we've got that fan that we should probably give a shout out to, because he's been really nice to us and giving us
Yeah?
shout outs and all that, you know, on the Twitters and the Facebook pages.
The twatters.
The Twatters.
Just sit on my Facebook.
Ooh. Are we...
Jen's backed up, so... Yeah.
Yes. So, Randy, I don't know if you want us to say your whole name. We've...
Let's not. To be
Yeah.
safe.
You were posting on our Facebook. Well, I guess if they're on our Facebook, then they kind of already know. But anyways, you've been posting
Hi,
on our
Randy.
Facebook and tweeted at us, twatted at us, twittered our, anyways, hoo-has and hum-hums.
Tweedle's my tweeter.
Thanks for the wicked awesome love. You too can get a special shout out if you give us a shout out on your social medias.
And a shout out on here and not a shout out through my last 5 minutes of my night. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think if we ever do get a Patreon, that's how Jen's going to reward you. So $1 means she kind of moans your name softly. $2 means she's like 3 knuckles deep, and it's more of like a breathy, "Oh my god," insert your name here.
5 million and I just may show up and do it for me.
Okay, let's not go that extravagant. I mean, let's say $5,000 is, you know, you make a video and you shout their name.
No, we're talking at least 25 grand in non-disclosure agreement for a video. Thank you very much.
Okay, I was trying to go for, you know, maybe our more economically conscious listeners, but okay, that works.
I'm an expensive bitch.
Okay, well, since we're worried about being short on time tonight, let's move on to news. I have to warn you, by the way, I'm in a bit of a ranting mood, so if I go off on a tangent, I am not sorry. Our first story tonight comes to us from Italy, the website queerty.com. Queer TV? I don't know. People come up with weird-ass website names that I just don't know how to pronounce. Anyways, it's a homosexual-themed website covering a lot of gay issues, which is fantastic. I hope in the future they won't need to be that niche, because, you know, it'll be considered human issues. But until then, you know, thanks for keeping up the good fight. So this article: priest who called homosexual Let's try that again. I may be in a ranting mood, but apparently my dyslexia kicks in.
Oh, very loud.
Verbal diarrhea. Take 2. Priest who called homosexuality a sickness and blames children for pedophilia dismissed from church. So this is a bit of a rare story. You don't often hear from this.
4. Dismissed from church. 4. Wait, ladies and gentlemen, there's more.
Yeah, he was dismissed for... and genuinely, like, I'll kind of go through the story here, but if you really don't want to hear the rest of it, you can fast forward, like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. The short version of it is for calling homosexuality a sickness and blaming children on pedophilia. It looks like that's exactly why he was dismissed. I mean, I'm kind of speculating and generalizing there because you'll understand why if you actually follow through and listen to the rest of the story, motherfucker. So the story goes, an Italian priest, or former priest, Gino Flame, claims to understand why
Flame? His name is Gino Flame?
Yeah,
like flaming homosexual Gino Flame?
he's also Italian, so he's probably got an unhealthy relationship with his mother. Ooh, stereotypes!
Fuck you. I have a totally healthy, dependent relationship with my mother, thank you very much.
Yeah.
But a name like Gino Flame? Gay. He's gay.
He's a closet homosexual. Most Catholic priests are, but anyways.
No.
So he claims...
Most Italians
Damn it,
are.
man. He claims to understand why priests succumb to sexual urges and sexually violating children. He's also deemed homosexuality a sickness. I bet you haven't heard that one before. So, for those of you playing the Catholic priest kitty diddlin excuse bingo at home, please mark off sexy children. Now, normally this would seem like a free square, but in this case we'll kind of make it its own, and then...
No, the free square now is hating gays.
Uh,
That's the free square.
So, he was quoted as saying that he understands pedophilia, as he has been in lots of schools and knows children. Some of them look for affection because they don't get it at home. So apparently a child looking for a strong adult role model might reduce a priest to succumbing, and that word, by the way, is precisely 7 letters too long to describe what the priest will actually do to these children.
Mm-hmm.
So this seeking out a strong adult role model somehow is equivocating them to posing in sexy underwear in front of the priests, and, you know, a grown-ass man who's never had sex before, he's got the utmost in sexual control. He really knows how to handle this. But fuck that!
But, you know, kids that may come from broken homes and are already vulnerable and are possible victims, let's just victimize them more because, you know, them looking for affection and a bond.
Yeah, because, you know, they want somebody to actually give them affection and give them the affirmation that, you know, they're not fucked up, they're not terrible human beings. It's the same as saying, "Come on, Catholic priest, put it in my bum-bum." So, yes, this means that he was also quoted as saying that children are largely at fault. He was later then dismissed from his position within his parish in San Giuseppe, San Giuseppe. I got an expert. The Archdiocese of Trento claimed that the organization wanted to disassociate itself completely from the remarks made by the priest. Flame's claims, which apparently now makes for a great autobiography with a colorful centerfold to demonstrate the sexy children and explain what he means, according to the diocese, these claims do not represent the position of said archdiocese. This story is basically a perfect demonstration of a Catholic cover-up. He was fired because he was explaining the crazy mentality that the Catholic Church uses as a defense regarding child molesters. So when you know your organization is fundamentally insane, except for offering wine first thing on a Sunday morning, because let's face it,
that's probably the only fucking reason
morning drinking is always a good time, especially on an empty stomach, because Catholic...
Morning drinking is always a great time. You've never heard of mimosas at brunch.
Oh, I love mimosas at brunch. But when your organization is that insane, you don't want the rest of the world to know that you know you're doing wrong, because otherwise then they get to kind of chink little holes in any other excuse you're trying to make.
And kind of, you know, get the chip away.
And basically...
Because you're a fucking pedophile.
And that basically kind of exposes that the Vatican has absolutely no poker face. But it's nice to see that at least one of these child rapist apologists gets sacked. Now, if only that sack was over the head and full of, like, turnips or potatoes or, I don't know, what do you think is a hard root vegetable?
Grenades.
No, it's kind of a waste of gunpowder. And...
Landmine.
Ooh, the bouncing Bettys, so maybe he has, you know, debris in his house for years. But the only problem...
Really,
yeah, let's just hope that he doesn't do the whole, you know, Tony Stark thing.
I have no idea what you're
Oh, he has the metal bits floating through his blood, and part of the reason why he has the magnet on his heart is to keep the metal bits from, like, ripping him to pieces.
I've never seen an Iron Man movie. I know, I'm feeling it deep down.
How have you? Like, you of all people seem like
No.
you'd be right up in there with
I
Robert
know,
Downey
right?
Jr.
I love him. I love the dude, but I just like don't have the time to sit and actually go through the series because I get distracted way too easily.
Distracted by.
A fucking squirrel running past me. It really was fucking
Oh,
fun.
I thought you were gonna give me something elaborate, like all of a sudden, you start moaning Tony Stark's name. But anyways, okay, I guess
I would so fuck Robert Downey Jr. And I mean, like,
I would make him buy me
this
dinner
would be.
first.
No, I wouldn't even do that. This would be like, call the cops. I think they're slaughtering sheep.
Oh my god, so kind of like the intro
Type
to
of
Tucker
stuff.
Max where he's railing the deaf chick and
Yep.
every
Yep.
cops show up because they think somebody's dying and she's just like
Mm-hmm.
she's screaming in her I was
Yep.
coming,
Yep.
you assholes! And I'm sorry, deaf
Yep.
people, I know you're not really listening, but Chris listens and
This
he's our
would be
favorite deaf
donkey
person.
This would be no.
Sorry, token deaf kid.
Sorry, token deaf kid. No, this would Robert Downey Jr. sex would be like donkey bleeding sex.
I don't even want to think about that.
You know when you're getting fucked so well that you start making random animal noises like a donkey?
Yeah, okay, that, oh my god, okay, we're gonna move on now before we start bringing bestiality into this.
No, I haven't.
Raw Story provides us with our second news bit of the night. This article, gun nuts freak out over Texas students hashtag Cocks Not Glocks open carry protest, and it is awesome. So apparently there's some campus carry law that's taking effect next year, and a group of University of Texas students have announced plans to openly carry dildos in response. Ever since they've announced this protest, the group's Facebook page has been flooded with abuse, showcasing just how classy gun fetishists really are.
I'm pro gun. I'm pro gun. So, I mean, I'm not like crazy. Come and take them, my stupid hands, fucking gun nut. I believe in the Second Amendment, and I believe in my own.
Okay, let's get through this story, and then we'll at the end of the story. That's when we'll have our little discussion time on this topic. Okay. So the campus carry law says license holders may carry a concealed handgun through the university campus, effective August 1st, 2016, within the state of Texas. Now the Cocks Not Glock. Oh shit! I scrolled too far. Holy fuck. Okay. Backtrack. So the Cocks Not Glocks protesters intend to openly carry an array of colorful sex toys on campus in protest. The group founder Jessica Jenn posted saying, "You're carrying a gun to class? Well, I'm carrying a huge dildo. Just about as effective at protecting us from sociopathic shooters, but much safer for recreational play." Oh.
Can we just carry both? Can I show up with both a handgun and a giant 25-inch black double-sided dildo? Can I show up with both?
Damn it, I totally missed my cue too, because I was going to say something about big black Mandingo fake cock enthusiast, aka Jessica Jenn. No, nothing? Okay.
But, I mean, can I show up both?
Yeah. Ah, damn it, I see, I totally set myself up for a joke, and then I just fell. Damn it, alright, moving on.
Life sucks right now.
It totally is. I was totally excited while I was writing this. I was like, oh my god, this is going to be hilarious. And, then I fucking dropped the goddamn ball. So, we're going to move on, and I'm going to storm through this.
Story of your life.
Dropping the ball, the Keith Spielman story.
Oh god, that was so good.
Yeah, my delayed puberty or something like that.
Oh.
Oh, damn it. See, and it was great because I was going to make fun of Texas for being rapists. For being racist when I made the black Mandingo fake cock thing. And, they're all uppity.
Gentlemen, welcome to the madness of our lost lives.
Yeah, this is what happens when, all work and no play.
When life happens.
Yeah. So the Facebook group is planning this protest on the day the concealed carry goes into effect.
Right.
They're calling it a group strap-in. And now it makes sense as to why the homoerotic overtone to their message by calling it a strap-in. And let's face it, we all know that homophobes with a metallic cock extension hate having cocks in their face because they're worried they might smile like a donut and bob like a chicken. Yeehaw!
Because they're secretly worried that dicks are delicious, which they are. Dicks are delicious, dude. It depends on what they eat. Sometimes what comes out of the dick is not delicious. But the dick
Yeah,
itself
I guess
is
it's pretty.
delicious, so long as it's
It's
maintained
pretty
well.
dependent on the guy's diet. Like I know if he
It-
eats a lot of pineapple, it's really sweet.
I can tell the difference between someone who eats a lot of meat and drinks a lot of soda and somebody who
How
doesn't.
about somebody who smokes a lot?
That I don't know, but I can tell the difference. In
Interesting.
food. Okay. Yeah, it's fine.
Hells yeah, motherfuckers! Maybe we should try finding like some sex therapists or biologists who can tell us all about this.
There might be somebody we can contact,
Yes.
but like I can tell the difference in like somebody that eats more fruits and vegetables or somebody that eats like shit. And I can tell the difference.
See, an old girlfriend of mine, about a year and a half after we broke up, we decided we were going to be, friends with benefits for a bit, and
Fuck buddies.
yeah.
Right.
And after the first blowjob, she goes, "I can tell you've been smoking more now." And I went, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I may not be able to taste it on your breath, but it's evident somewhere else." I'm going, "Oh, interesting. Good to know." But we've gone on track enough, so let's get back. This law, there's a little caveat to this law that says private universities can write their own policies regarding open carry,
Mhm.
even though, like we all know, in Texas, you won't get money if you tell someone they can't bring a life-ending tool to class.
Right.
So
Right.
in this article, they also provide us with some some very well written, some very eloquent counter protests. So these people, they're upset, and they felt the best way to express themselves would be to write pen to paper and say, look, we understand you guys don't like it, and who the fuck are we kidding? The proponents of open carry and concealed homosexuality have turned into petulant children. It's fucking hilarious. So let's start off with comment number 1. Quote, "I've seen most of you trolls tromping around campus. If you took as much time taking care of yourselves as you do trying to make meaningless political statements, you may not need the dildos and could actually have a real living penis waiting for you at home, according to Willie Nelson." I know, it's fucking brilliant. But see,
I love the Krampus voice that you did with
Thank
that.
thank you.
It
It pisses me off though, because they're sitting there and they're contradicting themselves. Because according to the gun nuts who are hyper religious,
what he said,
atheists don't wear
what he
underwear
said,
because we're waiting for surprise orgies, and this kind of
Wait,
nullifies
we're not?
exactly that. This statement
Wait, no,
nullifies that
seriously,
point.
we're supposed to be wearing underwear and not wearing.
No,
orgies?
as atheists, we don't. Or no, sorry, it's as atheists we don't wear pants in case of surprise orgies. My mistake. The atheists.
We don't. We don't.
I
Why didn't I get this
I
one?
don't know. What fucking hole have you been living under?
Damn it! Was I napping?
You tend to be a lot more internet savvy than I do. How did you miss this?
I was napping.
You weren't napping. We could hear you from thousands of miles away.
Yeah. I'm sorry. When I have free time in this house, I use it wisely. Thank you very much.
That is a capital use of your time.
I'm really starting to wonder if my multitasking abilities are going to cause me to masturbate in my sleep. At this point. Yeah, do people do that?
I know guys when they get erections, they might grind into the bed or up against somebody. But
Like while they're
yeah.
sleeping?
I've
That freaks me out.
I've woken up with a raging hard on and gone, we should do this, and then drifted out back to sleep. So the more you know.
Well, see, women don't kind of wake up like that half in, half out, I need to fuck something. At least I haven't. I don't know for other women. If other women have that are listening, please share your experiences and fascinated by it.
Fuck, I get it. Women are better at controlling their libidos than the average male.
But no, I have gotten up. Like when I was with somebody, I've gotten up in the morning and been like, I have to fuck right now, and I don't give a shit if you're awake. It's happening.
Good. I think more people need to follow that example.
I'm not afraid of my libido, which is
Wow, holy
high right now.
holy tangents, Batman. Okay. The second choice post. Quote. Anatomy of a school shooting. Some liberal dipshit guns down a bunch of other liberal dipshits because he's oppressed, or triggered, or off his meds. Liberals respond by blaming guns and waving dildos around. Because logic. I'm really glad you freaks exist, don't get me wrong. Every time I get online, I'm endlessly amused, according to user Alex Drones? Really? Huh, that's a very close to Alex Jones. Isn't Alex Jones like that conspiracy nut guy?
Once I hear conspiracy shit, I turn off. Sorry, I'm pay attention.
I have to do the Googles for this because
What is so wrong about carrying a dildo? I mean, you're not carrying. It's not an actual severed
okay,
penis.
Jen, Did you not hear my bit about how these gun fetishists, they like their guns because it's a metallic cock extender? They're all intimidated. They see anything bigger than 4 inches, so your average
Okay,
rabbit,
so what
and
if
they're afraid that they're not good enough.
what if my rabbit is my cock extension? Who is anybody to judge?
I was right. It's totally Alex Jones. He leads Infowars, and he is fucking crazy. It is awesome.
Oh my god, Infowars, holy shit. But like, what if my rabbit is my cock extension? Why am I being judged for it?
I don't know, because
I probably have a better bond with my vibrators than any fucking man in my life. Probably any man that I have had in my life, which is a fucking horribly sad thing to say. So why can't I tout my love and affection around like these people tout their love and affection for their guns around? What's the problem?
I love the comment because logic, and that I'm gonna give a shout out to Jim here because he and I have been laughing about a comment he made the other day. It says, the left may not something to do with the left may not be full of geniuses, but the right has never suffered from an overabundance of intellect. So, shout out Jim. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Jim? I love him. Anyway.
Shall we move on?
But it's like, you know how they said, liberal fucking dildo swinging people in school shooting? No, people that beat off with decent dildos don't shoot up schools because we're too fucking busy thinking about beating off with the rabbit.
Either that or you're a lot fucking calmer because you don't have all that damn...
Yeah, because we have that relief. You know what I mean?
You go a couple of days without getting laid and you're used to getting laid on the reg. Because, I'm talking like I'm cool now. If you're used to getting regular sex, you stop getting it for a while. Suddenly that pens up and you get a little edgy, get a little
Why do you think I've avoided people from getting edgy again? And you've seen me on a dry spell edge.
It's true. It's
not very nice.
It's borderline genocidal. Okay. Next intellectual lightweight comment says... You dumb cunts post on a page like this and report people for standing up to your pathetic bullshit. According to Becca Lynch of Seattle, Washington. She also went on to say, you nasty cunts need to be locked up. Fucking ew. As well as, this kind of shit is exactly why my daughter won't attend one of these slut colleges. Okay, so we've now branched in from
now we're
gun promoting to slut shaming.
We're not fucking anyone but inanimate objects. But we're slut.
Well, it's the assumption that because you fuck a simulated cock, that's just to
guarantee
keep your
you
vagina nice and open for, whenever you need to stuff 3 or 4 real penises.
I guarantee you that woman's never seen her on clitoris.
Well, if she smokes as much as my impersonation of her makes her sound like, then she probably hasn't seen her vagina or probably her ankles in years.
She's one of those women that never took the hand mirror to the bathroom and explored.
Do you mean like she used the hand mirror to get to know herself, or she used the handle of the hand mirror to get to know herself?
No, like a compact.
Smell my hand mirror.
To figure out. That's something I thought of using. I'm sure that would be...
Really? See, I was given that
most
girls during their sexual exploration, they'll get weird. Like I had
not a handle to a hand mirror.
There was a girl that I knew years ago that she was quite proud that she used a hairbrush.
I know a few girls that use the handles of hairbrushes. Quite a few.
But
and I'm like, how do you grip that thing without going ow?
Well, I guess if it's one of those, it's got the angle or it's got the brush all on the right side, and this way you can just grab this.
Oh yeah, you can kind of grip it out. Yeah, that's true. I don't think so.
Oh, here we go. Here's another good one. Maybe if Jessica Jenn's countrymen had guns, there wouldn't be millions of them rotting in unmarked graves, according to Romney Wordsworth. I tried to really make him sound snooty.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Jessica Jenn, I'm assuming she's Asian?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's him attempting to be a racial slur.
She's an American, so her countrymen would be...
Well, her heritage, because she's, Asian, therefore she must be a fob or fresh off the boat for those who don't know the terminology.
Oh my fucking god. I'm sure he's expecting her to give massages and hand jobs too.
Well, yeah, sucky $5, don't you know?
I prefer they do my nails.
Alright, we have 2 more comments to get through. I don't really know if I can do a Chicago accent without trying to bastardize a Brooklyn accent or something, so I'm just going to read this.
So don't even do
So
it.
I'm just going to read this. Jim Russells says, "Can I ask you something, Jessica? Not trying to troll, this is an honest hypothetical question. If a criminal with nothing to lose found you and held a gun to your head and said he was going to end your life right then and there, and all you had on you was a dildo and some school books, would you wish you had a gun hidden on you to protect yourself?" Where the fuck do they get the idea that this is normal? This doesn't happen every day. Well, except in the States.
I would use the school books to smack him in the head, and then take the dildo that I had to choke him to death with it, and then shove it down his throat. There you go.
It's actually not a bad idea, but I mean, I understand why he thinks this logic is sound, but it's not.
Right.
It's fucking not. Sit there and say, well, what if this statistically extremely unlikely event, happens? Well, then I guess I'll deal with it when it fucking happens, but it's not going to.
It's like it happens, yeah.
I mean, let's face it. I'm rational enough. Back in January, I was in a car accident. My car was totaled, and within 6 hours, I could barely move my neck because of the whiplash. Long story short, I was hit from front and behind. It was a menage a trois from hell. I really wish somebody would have used protection. That night, my girlfriend came over, and we were supposed to go meet up with some friends for shisha. And normally I'll drive, and she handed me the keys as per usual because Calgary, January, there's usually shit, aka snow, all over the ground.
All over. Yeah.
And we get halfway there, and she's like, "How are you so comfortable driving?" We actually took the same route that I had taken earlier when my car was totaled. Kitty, meow meow. When my car was totaled, and she takes one look at me, and she's going, "How can you still be driving?" And I said, "Because it's very unlikely that I'm going to get into an accident in general. It's possible, sure, and I take that risk whenever I grab the keys and turn on the ignition and pull the car out onto the roadway. That's something that's possible to happen, but it's not very fucking likely. That's why we have safety devices like airbags. Airbag's not a gun. An airbag is potentially life-saving, whereas a gun,
More than 20%.
it can be, but it's more likely to cause harm, is it not? It's more likely that...
I don't know. I haven't really read the statistics.
Okay, well, if any of our fine listeners decides that they wish to educate us a little bit, please feel free to look this up and fire us off an email or a tweet. So we've actually done a really good job of staying on track with this. I'm really proud of us. So we're going to get through our last one, and then we can talk about our thoughts on...
You're just excited about seeing my cat finally.
Neil Atkins of Waco urged...
God.
Where is Waco, by the way?
Waco... It's in Texas, but there was an issue where we had a branch off of the Seventh-day Adventist Church take up a compound there. They were called Branch Davidians. And he was like, multiple wives and child brides and everything else. And he wound up in a standoff with the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Department, Division, whatever the fuck. And ATF wound up burning the compound down with 80% of their members.
Oh, dang it. Okay, so this guy gets a Texas accent, which is going to be fucking fantastic. Be sure and resist when arrested. It makes such good headlines when a smarmy little dragworm gets off for resisting. How was that?
What does that comment even mean? Where's getting resisting arrest from?
Because apparently that being a protester means you're going to get arrested. I don't know. It's some holier-than-thou-are bullshit that these nuts like to take.
What the fuck is wrong with Texas? What is wrong with Texas? Does nobody in that fucking state have an itch of fucking common sense for them anymore?
Apparently not. Or
do they just believe anything that they see on the Andy Griffith show on Fox News?
Dude, do they get other channels than Fox News?
I think that's all they get, and that's where the Andy Griffith show comes from.
I love Andy Griffith.
I hate that. Oh my god, don't even. I fucking hate it.
Actually, am I kidding? I never watched it.
If I could burn down any fictional town, it would be fucking Mayberry, okay?
Yeah, truth be told, I never watched it. I just watched a documentary about it, and I was like, oh, that seems nice. Okay, so now we can have our thoughts on guns. Jen, you said you're a gun owner.
Yes, I'm a gun owner, and I'm pro-gun with... Alright, this is... I get complicated.
That's fine.
Explain
your nuance.
I believe in my Second Amendment that citizens of sound mind and body and good moral standing should be allowed to own guns.
No. You should have a pair of bear arms sitting above your mantelpiece. Didn't you read the fine print?
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah, it says the right to bear arms. You know, so you walk into your place, and above the
But I mean,
mailbox you got bear arms.
I get the point. I get the point back then that the militia, we didn't have National Guard back then, so the militias were state run, so people didn't own weapons. But it still doesn't, and it with our Second Amendment, a lot of people think it's just a right to own guns, and no, it's the right to protect yourself from a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
So that if the government does get a little too far, you can come.
Well, because that's what the United States was kind of all about. They were fighting off monarchies.
And right, but it was placed there in the event that it ever happens again. Because our forefathers weren't stupid; they know exactly what happens to men in power.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely. I do believe that in my country there are far too many loopholes and there's not enough oversight.
Yeah.
In gun ownership, the
atheist cat.
I believe. I love
atheist feline.
I believe that there's a lot of blame placed where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think it ultimately comes down to the owner. It comes down to the gun industry, and I'm for stricter background checks. I'm for on-the-spot / mental health flags when you do apply for a gun, and this is where I become controversial.
Then that's fine.
I believe that parents who allowed their kids access to weapons or had left weapons to an accessible point, and those children go out and commit a crime and they go and shoot up a school, I believe the parents need to be prosecuted as an accessory.
Negligent ownership of a gun.
Negligence as an accessory. Because every time you hear about a school shooting, the parents are always wondering about the child's mental state. Yet there were weapons within reach and easily obtainable to a mass shooting.
Yeah.
This is irresponsible gun ownership. We need education on guns in this country. We absolutely need more education on guns in this country. This isn't some, Wild West, OK Corral, bang bang, shoot 'em up, Call of Duty shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the Nordic countries, I can't remember which one, but it's like 90% of people in the country own guns and they have like the lowest fucking crime rate. Because they teach their children that guns are tools.
Don't they have strict regulations on ammunition?
I'm not entirely sure about ammunition regulations, but it's more of the...
I think I know the meme you're talking about.
Yeah, it's more of the... It's the way they educate their children, and each generation is taught that guns are tools. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't go out in the fucking street and throw hammers at people.
No.
Or you wouldn't go waving fucking hammers around like you're a badass. Why the fuck are you doing this with a gun? To me, there needs to be more oversight. We can't have these gun show strawman shit going on. So where you can sell privately and just start selling them off to people.
Yes.
I don't believe in that.
See, that's...
I do believe there needs to be more stringent background checks and more loopholes closed. And I do believe that parents that allow their children easy access to guns, or people that leave guns unsecured with easy access to people with a mental disturbance in their home, need to be prosecuted for murder if a crime should happen.
It's negligent homicide.
It's negligent homicide. I'm not one. Don't fucking take my guns from me. Let me make the fucking choice.
See, in a lot of ways, you and I run very parallel. I mean, I like guns. I don't own guns. I don't have my possession and acquisition license, as it's called in Canada, for restricted or unrestricted firearms. But I've been to the gun range, and when I have a gun, I take it very seriously, because I sit there and I go, this is a tool that could potentially end somebody's life.
Right. And when it comes to carry, I believe that both open and concealed carry need to be licensed.
Aren't they, though? Or, no, I think they need to be regulated.
No, I think it's Tennessee. I think it's the state that I live in. It could be Kentucky, which is the state I can't remember. Open carry is totally legal without a license.
Jesus.
Completely and utterly legal. You will see people out here with AR-15 strapped to their back, handguns on their waist, completely out in the open. The minute you cover it and you don't have a license, it becomes illegal. Concealed carry, you need a license for. I believe that there needs to be a license for both.
I can get behind that. I mean, like I said, when it comes to guns, I'm so against this idea that people shouldn't have guns. I'm for better educating people on how to handle them and respecting them. I'm for, properly regulating them, background checks, shit like that, because I don't think guns should be allowed to fall into hands of people who are at a higher risk for hurting themselves. I mean, a friend of mine, Jenn, you and I played Grand Theft Auto with him one night.
Which one is that? Is that Will? Nate, look at this.
He's actually the one who got me interested in firearms. He worked at the gun range near my house, and he was telling me that as part of his training, he had to actually watch videos of what can happen when you leave one person alone with a firearm, and he actually watched snuff footage of people turning that firearm on themselves when the range officer turned their back for half a second. They got a little bit way through emptying their clip, noticed that the range officer wasn't looking, put the barrel to their head, and that was it.
Yeah, I think that's something that people.
And as now, actually, at that particular gun range, I'm not sure if it's just regulation across the board, but I do know at that gun range, they will not allow single shooters in there.
Really?
They will not. Even with a range officer, you must be there with someone.
Oh, I fully believe that there needs to be supervision out of gun range at all fucking times. We had a story. A fucking family was shooting an Uzi or some shit. They give it to the 7-year-old
Oh,
kid.
fuck.
Right? The instructor's behind her, and I guess he let his hand slip off of hers, and she lost control of the gun and blew the gun range instructor's head off.
Wow.
We got fucking toddlers that are walking out and shooting people.
Yeah, didn't some 2-year-old just shoot his grandma with a .357 revolver found in her back seat?
What the fuck are you leaving guns out? I don't leave unsecured loaded weapons around my son. I don't. The ones that are not locked are completely unloaded. There is not a round in the chamber. There is no magazine in the weapon.
Yeah.
My 4-year-old doesn't understand how to load a weapon. He couldn't even tell you where to put what if he came across the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's at that age now where he's going to start picking up shit and playing with it.
Yep.
And I'm not going to have him blow my brains out or his brains out or his friend's brains out because I was stupid enough to leave a fucking loaded weapon in front of a toddler. Those parents need to be prosecuted for murder.
Well, I think that opens up like a whole other set of discussion, and maybe on another episode we can go into that. But ultimately, I think
if you start prosecuting people for being
shitty gun owners,
shitty
but then the NRA will hop in there and tell you how it's the gun didn't kill anybody, and I get it. The gun isn't responsible.
No, and you're right. I could leave a fucking shotgun. I can leave my shotgun out in front of my front fucking step, and I'm not going to get up and fucking shoot anybody until somebody picks it up and shoots somebody with it. But you need to start holding gun owners responsible, not the gun manufacturers, not the gun shops. What I don't get is suing a gun manufacturer for a murder.
That's very.
Are you going to start suing Duncan Hines because people are dying from diabetes?
Well, they're going to sue
no.
McDonald's for their coffee being hot, but then again, I guess that's because.
Well, no, that was a whole different story.
Or something, I don't know.
Yeah, that was like severe. But you're not going to fucking sue Duncan Hines for fucking people from diabetes dying from it, for being overweight. No, you don't fucking do that. No, oh my god, I'm gonna sue fucking Stouffer's because I developed diabetes after my Thanksgiving dinner. Get the fuck out of here. It's all fucking stupid juice now. The gun shop owners, and let me tell you something, I know gun shop owners, and they follow the laws of the tool.
Well, they have to.
But they
Otherwise,
have to,
they're
because
legally
they know
liable for any
anyone...
mistakes or accidents.
Exactly. So why are you gonna hold a business owner responsible for somebody else killing them, especially if it was a parent that left a fucking weapon unsecured around a child?
True that, yo.
Start prosecuting the fucking gun owners. Your gun gets stolen and you don't report it, it's used in a fucking crime, you go to jail.
Yeah.
Start being fucking responsible about it, and when you start prosecuting people for it, people are gonna wise the fuck up and start realizing.
One can hope.
No, one can hope. But then again, I speak for only the northern half of the country because they would get us. But anyway.
Oh dear.
That's how I feel about it. I feel like there needs to be stricter punishments for gun crimes. And I'm not talking about, okay, yeah, you kill somebody, you go to jail for murder. I'm talking about the people that have left the responsibility that wide open. I think Keith has unplugged his headset, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not entirely sure.
I'm still here.
Okay. But it's, we've got an influx. We have the most crowded jails in the fucking world for pot possession, for fucking weed possession, for smoking a fucking joint.
And we all know every day's better with a bag of weed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A bag of weed, a bag of weed. Oh, everything is better with a bag of weed. It's the only help that you'll ever need because everything is better with a bag of weed.
But
Every day's
Bag of
better
weed,
than a
everything's
bag of
better with a
weed.
bag of weed. Okay.
This is my karaoke hour.
But you've got the mother of the Sandy Hook shooter that's running free. When she straight the fuck out said she knew her son was mentally disturbed, but she left her guns in a gun cabinet that her son had access to. The Columbine shooting children had access to their parents' guns. So you got somebody sitting in jail right now for a fucking dime bag of fucking weed. These people are fucking running around when all they would have had to do was secure their fucking weapons and their kids wouldn't have fucking shot up schools.
Yeah, actually, if you legalize pot, I mean, really, worst thing you're gonna do is you might lift a bag of Cheetos.
Yeah.
Because
Worst thing I do,
totally forgot it
you
was
might text your ex and kind of regret that
no,
the
that's
next
alcohol.
day. You know what I mean?
With weed, I don't text any ex-girlfriends. I barely text my current girlfriend when I'm baked out of my
No,
tree.
you texted me.
Yeah, I know. Because you'll appreciate it. She'll roll her eyes at me.
You text me.
You'll
text
encourage
me.
my little paranoid rants.
I do. I totally encourage you to just go down the rabbit hole. It's awesome. But I think the blame is being placed is being disproportionate. It's, people don't want to admit their own fault, so they don't admit the fault of others. And it's a band-aid to a bigger problem. We need better mental health care in this fucking country.
Not better mental health care in general is a wise idea.
We need just fucking decent mental health care. We need to take the stigma off of mental diseases. Because if you turn around and say something's wrong, then you're branded a fucking freak in this society. We need to start prosecuting the fucking gun owners that were negligent.
Yes.
It's time to tighten this shit up. We need to fucking close gun show loopholes and the private seller loopholes. We need to start closing this shit up. We need instant fucking red flag checks on people that may be a threat to themselves
Just
or
don't tell
others.
Alex
But when you
Jones.
do, I know, right? Just
Oh my
when
God,
they go, oh my god,
Ah.
they're gonna come for our guns and now they're gonna log us. They're gonna log our mental state. And I'm not talking about you have to get into detail and all HIPAA violations and shit like that, but if there was a mandated reporter that made a report, it puts a red flag on your file or whatever. And when they call the background checks, make sure you don't have warrants and you're legally here and you're not on a fucking terror watch list, then this should be part of the background checks.
Now, before we move on, because I think we've about gone on long enough on this topic before we get to our discussion, I do want to say that I am fully aware that putting laws on guns, bad guys don't respect the law. I get that. But you reduce the number of guns per capita, you reduce the amount of guns these guys will have access to. You may not be able to take all of the guns out of their hands, but you've at least created a framework for dealing with them.
No. The only thing gun bans do is put legal gun owners in danger. I'm sorry, we don't live in a society in England or wherever the fuck else they ban guns. That's not going to happen. And we need to face that.
Well, in places like Chicago, I think having a gun should be kind of a mandatory thing because you might get shot.
Meanwhile, that's some of the strictest fucking gun laws in the country. It's in Chicago.
So that kind of is ironic given what I just said.
Exactly. Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws, if not the strictest gun laws in the country outside of New York. New York is that weird anomaly. I think we just spend too much on our apartments and shit that we're definitely afraid to destroy anything. So we're just like, we're not going to shoot anything, we're not going to riot, we're not going to burn it down because we just paid way too much fucking money for this shit. It's going to cost too much money to get back.
So,
Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the country. Or fucking crime.
Really? But,
which goes to show you that banning guns doesn't fucking work. At least not
well, not in those kind of circumstances anyways.
We've got so much rampant poverty and fucking drug addiction that banning guns is not going to work.
But that's a whole greater issue in and of itself.
Yeah, it just kind of ties into
I'm trying to move us along here.
Sorry.
The wheel with a little KY.
Sorry. I'm going off on a fucking tangent, my fault. Whatever. Go on.
And now for something completely different.
Okay, so we have our little topic discussion here. Something completely different. So what we found, or rather what I found and then showed Jen because it made me giggle was an article called Six Foolproof and Effective Things to Do to Bring Atheists Back to the Lord.
This is fucking
This is
awesome.
a fantastic little article. Every story we've discussed, and the story that I'll be discussing when I get to my little my little final thought there, which I actually think I've got a name for, but I'll tell you when we get there.
It's so fucking long-winded. Of course you'd have a name for it. Oh,
Yeah, by then.
Jesus.
Shit, I lost my train of thought, so I'll just get back to it. Okay, so we're going to go through the 6 techniques to bring atheists back to the Lord.
Woohoo!
Number 1.
Come on this journey,
Say
folks.
you'll turn to God when you're down on your luck. It is
Yeah, I've actually been told this. I've been told
It
this.
is a well-known fact that atheists are entirely immune to tragedies and tribulations that all believers must go through to grow in life and faith. Our lives are a scintillating and sin-filled flurry of hookers and dark liquor and orgies and Arby's combo meals. Nothing
Isn't that what life's about?
hookers and crack breakfast champions. Nothing bad really happens to atheists, or at least nothing that bad possibly could have happened, since they are still uniformly blissful and ignorant and living their lives without believing in God, which is really not a sustainable thing. There is science somewhere in the Bible that proves this. Probably.
Somewhere in the Bible.
So,
if you look hard enough and interpret it the way you want to.
So in case it isn't obvious by my reading of that first paragraph of item number 1, this is a very satirical article. This was written by a woman who got so sick and tired of people trying to explain away her atheism.
This was fantastic.
She did a beautiful job.
When you sent it to me, I was like, oh my god. And then I was like sitting there reading, I'm like, this is fucking great.
So I believe her name is Natalie de Graffenried. I'm totally butchering her name, and I apologize if you ever hear this, which I doubt, but anyways. So yes, so assuming that people are only atheists because they're in good times, like, that's absolute bullshit, man. I lost both my grandfathers while I was. And I actually wrote a poem for one of my grandfathers because I believe poetry is a perfect outlet, or writing in general, I believe, is kind of a perfect outlet for emotion, especially poetry. And yeah, I used the metaphor of an angel after my grandfather died because that just, to me, that's just the image that I wanted to create. Because I thought my grandfather was a good man, and obviously I'd like him to, feel good after he died. I'd like his final feeling to be a positive one. And truth be told, for those of you who don't know my grandfather, which is like 100% of the audience,
including me.
Yes, 100% of the people listening to this. My grandfather actually died on his birthday. He had been in a hospice for several months, and on his last day, he really didn't wake up at all. But because it was his birthday, we had brought in cake just in case he woke up, and he wasn't really conscious enough. So they kind of gave him a little bit of icing with his with a spoon, the way they'd been feeding him, and that was the last thing he technically ate before he died. And for me, that was always kind of a, like, I know that really it's just kind of a meaningless thing, but to me, in my head, I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, typical Grampy, the bastard wanted to get his cake before he fucking died, And so I wrote a poem, kind of, heaven has a new angel, there's a new set of wings flying in the air, or flying in the sky. But I just used religious metaphor and imagery. I didn't go anywhere else with it because as still a primitive species, death frightens us. We're all afraid of death at the end.
Absolutely, yeah. Unless, you've gone through something major and you've completely come to terms with the fact of death. I say this because I wound up in a YouTube hole of people that went through assisted suicide in, I believe it was Switzerland. And they have these people actually drinking the barbiturates and, going to sleep. It was actually very dignified. But
not assisted suicide, but more like euthanasia?
No, it definitely was assisted suicide. They go to this center in Sweden, and they at first give them an anti-nausea med about an hour beforehand. And then if they give them an overdose of barbiturates, it's powdered barbiturates in water with fruit juice. And they ask them many times,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I watched a documentary on this.
Yeah, the British guy who
Uh,
went with the guy with the motor neuron disease. And these people have fully come to terms with the fact that yes, they're returning back.
Yeah.
That is like, I think, the only point in life where you don't fear death anymore, when you've been faced with something so far worse than death, that death is a relief. But for the rest of us, death is something to fear. Death is absolutely something to fear. But we're not supposed to fear it. If we believe in God, we don't fear it because we go somewhere better.
and there's truth in that, but at the end, I've also reached a point where I'm sitting there and going, when I'm dead, I'm not going to know, because I look at my life and I don't really remember the first few years. I don't remember life before I was alive. So why would I remember life after I'm alive? Anyways.
When there's no consciousness to remember.
Exactly.
I've actually been told that I respect your beliefs, but you don't believe in God because you haven't been put in the position to believe in God.
Oh, that's... Yeah, that whole apologist bullshit. It never fails to grate on my nerves.
I was ready to jump across the table and strike.
I don't blame you.
Because I'm like, I buried 17 friends.
Motherfucker.
In under 2 years. To war. This wasn't like car accidents and drug overdoses. No, literally they left one day and never came back. And then I was privy to all these very gory details of how each and every one of them died.
Yeah.
So don't sit here and fucking tell me that I just haven't been in a position that I need to see God. Because why? Because I made decisions in my life to make sure that I was not downtrodden and out in the street and suffering in poverty. So because I made smart decisions, I'm being punished by never seeing God.
Yeah. How?
Because, suffering is the fastest way to get to heaven.
Yeah, apparently. According to Mother Teresa. But, anyways.
That's Catholic guilt right there.
Number
guilt.
2.
But yeah, you get punished for making the correct decisions and not being downtrodden and down and out in life.
You sure you're not talking about Jewish guilt? I guess Catholic guilt, Jewish
It's
guilt.
all the fucking same. It's like the same thing. It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, the Italians are all Catholic and they have issues with their mothers. Jews have issues with their mothers. But anyways.
Irish have issues with their mothers. It'll find.
Moving on to number 2. Ask, what made you stop believing in God? It is a well-known fact that every atheist has experienced some trauma that has caused them to move away from God. Atheists are all expert scientists and logicians. In fact, just a few months ago, my sister asked me to explain how she had a dream about a coworker having cancer, which then followed with a totally different coworker ending up with cancer some weeks later. I replied, I don't know, statistics, what the fuck? To which she replied by nodding sagely and reluctantly changing the subject after about 5 not-so-subtle hints that I was not a diviner of dreams. So atheists are very vulnerable to the whole accusation, or the whole, I'm
something
just
must
curious.
have happened that's horrible in your life, yeah.
I'm not trying to compare this to, people who will look at a trans person and say, what made you think that you're not, you were born with a Y chromosome? What made you think that you were actually a girl? I'm not trying to say that these are the same things. I'm simply trying to say that this is, kind of a and I'm not paraphrasing. Where the fuck did that come from? Not paraphrasing.
I have no idea.
I'm simply trying to, caveat by saying this is kind of along those lines of I'm just curious. Which is really just a way of saying, I'm ignorant.
I'm a nosy motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. I'm ignorant, but I'm still nosy as hell, and I don't actually want to have to research the topic to make myself seem like a well-informed person. I think it's kind of hilarious. She said, all atheists are expert scientists and logicians, when, in fact, I'm part of an atheist-theist debate group, and the atheists in the group are the ones who actually... Well, okay, I can't say they piss me off the most, but some of them have made comments that I've sat there and I've gone, should I report this? Like, there have been theists who I sat there and I've gone, you're fucking stupid, you're fucking stupid, you're fucking stupid, but when a few, and only a few of the atheists in this group that have posted, I've seen their posts and gone, I think I should report this shit. Because it's just fucking stupid and ignorant. It's an interval song. Da, 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 da. Interval song. Da, 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 da. It's an interval. I can hear myself in your headphones. This is hilarious. Wow, I feel good.
Okay,
I knew that I would know.
he's way more entertaining than I am. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
Jen leaves the microphone, and I leave the microphone, and Jen goes off about men having to pee and taking so long, even though I had to run the fuck upstairs. But Jen leaves, and I break into Jane Brown. See, what you can't hear at home, ladies and gentlemen, if you're playing the Not Another Atheist Podcast home game, is the sound of Keith and Jen getting creative about flipping each other off via Skype. So yeah, this is just stupid. I'm too ignorant to
I love that.
why people might not
What
believe
happened?
that,
I looked at things and realized this doesn't make sense.
And if you really want to find out why somebody doesn't believe in God, you don't come up and say, "Well, what made you stop believing in God?" If you might be curious and say, your phone's dead, so you can't Google atheism arguments or, positive atheism or something that says you've actually engaged with atheists or looked at atheist literature enough to understand why they might reach that point. You might say, "Oh, you're an atheist. That's interesting. How about this weather?" Your curiosity is not my fucking business.
Something horrific must have happened to you to turn you away from God.
Yeah, that one never fit.
I read the Bible.
Yeah, that's the fucking ironic.
What happened to you to turn you into an atheist? I read the Bible and paid attention in school.
I don't know. I asked myself, where is God? And I realized things tend to work without him.
What did I see today?
What did you say?
That is only the lie you were told until you told it to you. That is only the lie that you were told until you told it to yourself.
Whoa, dude, I am not.
It was this little white kid rapping about atheism, and this kid was just like, holy shit! Like, this kid was amazing, and that's what he ended it with. That was only a lie that was told to you until you told it to yourself. I was like, he dropped fucking amps, this kid. I'll share it on Facebook.
Okay. Please
we'll
do.
link it out. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Send me the links. I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't find it again.
Okay, so
But this kid is fucking ridiculous.
number 4. Ask them a bunch of questions. Ask them a bunch of probing questions and ignore their answers. So get your fingers all latexed and lubed, because let's face it, nobody wants the nasty STI.
Are we going Vaseline or KY jelly? Being classy
Ideally KY, but Vaseline works too.
Classy motherfucker.
So according to the article, this is the most effective when the atheist is reading a book or at the dinner table or at any other time when you would normally find it rude to ask very personal questions about someone's beliefs and philosophy. Since the atheist is by nature a free spirit, they will appreciate your commitment to finding out the truth, and they will even more thoroughly appreciate your dedicated decision to ignore each and everything that they are saying.
They fucking said
If an atheist appreciates anything, it's a cynic. A cynic who completely ignores the other side of a conversation they are taking part in is especially their version of God. And if there's any time to deify yourself, it's when you're talking to an atheist. They really like that deity shit.
We
really do. I mean,
we really do. We look forward to it every year.
Why don't you believe in God? Well, because I take a look at the grand scheme of the universe, and it just makes no sense to me that there would need to be a prime mover, because it all seems to function quite well without. I mean, it's like, who was the guy that made the orrery? And he was asked by the king why there was no model of God in it. He said, because it works just as well without.
And do you know what the normal answer is to that? But there was a flood.
There was a flood! It moved the continents! That's what the flood was actually talking about.
Did they actually say that?
I don't know.
That the flood moved the continents? Is that how they explain penguins that travel from the middle?
I believe that I read an argument saying that Noah's flood was actually when the continents shifted into where they are now. It's some bullshit.
Because, that happened in a month.
Wasn't it actually 3 months? Because it rained for 40 days, 40 nights,
Something
and then
like
on
that.
the boat for 9
Yeah,
days.
So it was less than 6 months.
Okay.
So in less than 6 months, we went from Pangea to what we know now.
Yeah. Wait, was that number? That was number 3 that I just did, wasn't it? No.
No, it was number 4.
Oh shit, that was actually number 3. This is number 4.
Okay, alright.
I number good. The real number 4. Will the real number 4 please stand up? No? Okay. Praise God all the time. So in much the same way that your friends are always super keen to hear about your new diet or workout regimen and how happy and healthy you feel, your atheist friends are just a few praise gods away from really taking action and doing what it is that you do every day. Just
So if I play Stephen Dawkins, does that mean they're going to turn into
who the
atheists?
fuck is Stephen Dawkins?
I'm sorry, Richard Dawkins. Oh my god, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of fucking not Stephen Dawkins.
Like, you combined Stephen
Wow.
Dawkins with Richard Dawkins?
I think I did, and this is how fucking exhausted I am, ladies and gentlemen. I combine them because in my head that's the perfect human. Anyway.
Richard Dawkins in a wheelchair, so he probably can't access Twitter. That sounds like
No,
a great
like,
idea.
no. I mean, like, Stephen Hawking's mind and Richard Dawkins' delivery.
See, there's a key difference to their delivery, though. Richard Dawkins can be very brash.
That's what I like. I like that brashness, not giving a shit. I fucking love that shit. Now put Stephen Hawking's mind in
Elevator Gate comes to mind with Richard Dawkins. He can be kind. One of my favorite podcasters, he kind of makes a reference. He goes, every time my boy Richard Dawkins posts a tweet, I cringe or I have like an anxiety attack because I just don't know if it's gonna start a shitstorm or not. Because let's face it, every time Richard Dawkins fucking tweets, there is a BuzzFeed article featuring feminists pissed off at Richard Dawkins, or pro-lifers pissed off at Richard Dawkins, or some social justice group pissed off at Richard
I am a
Dawkins.
feminist, and I appreciate his demeanor.
His...
I know, I'm gonna be hung by the feminists now, I know that.
But the way he approached Rebecca Watson in the whole elevator scandal thing, that, I'm sitting there and I'm going...
That was...
So,
that was
when Richard Dawkins speaks about evolutionary biology, I sit the fuck down and I listen because I listened to his book. I have several audiobooks of his. My favorite one is The Greatest Show on Earth. It's all the positive evidence for evolution.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful book and I cannot recommend it enough. But when it comes to women's issues, he needs to sit down, shut the fuck up, and have his fingers broken before he's allowed to touch Twitter.
He does, but any argument that he has, he does back up.
For the most part, yeah, he does a pretty good job.
And I'm good with that. But I'm sorry, okay, we'll go back. If I sit here and praise Neil deGrasse Tyson, does that mean that you're going to find him atheist? If I sit here and constantly teach about Penn Jillette, are you going to fuck him?
Oh my god, he's fucking amazeballs.
Are you going to be this, like, no bullshit atheist? I mean,
Wouldn't
come on.
it be nice?
I mean, let's think of this logic.
Alright.
This is Bloody Mary, do I say Penn Jillette 5 times in a fucking mirror and it turns people to a fucking atheist?
In an ideal world, that would be an interesting way to approach things.
I would stand in front of mirrors all fucking day long.
Every time you say Penn Jillette's name, an atheist is born. Penn Jillette, Penn Jillette, Penn Jillette, Penn Jillette.
That's because you don't give a shit about marriage.
We're ready for surprise orgies. No, the best quote that I ever heard about Penn Jillette when he was faced with people trying to, attack atheist morality.
But they will stand up and they will ask, if there is no God, what stops you from raping and killing everyone you want to rape and kill? What stops you from doing that? And my answer is always, you're absolutely right. I have raped and killed every single person I want to rape and kill. And that number is 0, you evil motherfucker! It's 0! It's a goose egg! And if your number is a positive integer, sign up for prison! Get the fuck out of our society!
Holy shit,
you know, like how
that chills
badly
down
I
my
just
spine.
want to sit and have coffee with this guy.
I don't want to have coffee with him. I want to drink with this motherfucker. He would be hilarious.
No, because I don't want to get shit-faced to the point that we can't exchange ideas.
Right. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
As a comedian, I think he's fucking hilarious, and I just want to see him go off. I assume that...
I think he's just amazing.
I think drunk he would be very funny, but that's a whole side note. We gotta move on to number 5. Number 5 is say the same things over and over and over and over and... Hang on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4... And over again. Should the atheist actually decide to engage with you and the Word of God, you must be prepared. This is your chance. Don't worry if the atheist says that they don't want to talk about it. This categorically means that they have no solid response to not being religious, which you should combatively accuse them of as your opening. I'm not sure I really understand this sentence. I think there was a little misspelling.
Yeah, that was kind of broken very good. I get what
Which categorically means that they have no solid reason to not be religious, which you should combatively accuse. Okay, so basically I think what she's saying is that, you know, atheists don't actually have a reason to not believe in God because they burden of proof. And anyways, long story short, you should just keep repeating the same arguments over and over about, oh, praise Jesus. So undoubtedly, the atheist will be prepared with reasons that they are an atheist. These reasons are not always related to science or even logic, but you should assume as much in your conversation and immediately begin arguing against the doctrine of atheism. And there definitely is one, since atheism is a religion which you should essentially treat as douchey and arrogant application of the scientific method, no matter what the atheist says. Oh, here we go, we can bring in Richie Dawkins. Essentially, it's okay to assume every atheist is Richard Dawkins. They'll take it as a compliment as he is the white Jesus of their religion. Fuck. I get such a kick out of people calling Richard Dawkins God.
That's line in the whole fucking article. I love that.
When they say, you know, well, isn't Richard Dawkins like your God? Isn't Christopher Hitchens your God? Isn't Daniel Dennett your God?
We don't have it.
No! Motherfucker! No! I don't believe in gods.
What
you're talking about is hero worship and this need for us to latch onto our idols. Which,
and you
if
know
you've read Christopher Hitchens, you know he hates that shit. And if anybody deified him, he would backhand them. So he would probably like look at me and go, "You're stupid."
And I'm sorry, but everyone is only one god away from being atheist.
Except the Hindus. They're like 8 or 9 dozen.
Well, yeah. Oh my god, I can't even fucking keep up on that shit anymore. But most people who are religious.
And if you're a cat, you think you're a god.
Exactly.
See,
if you're a cat, you have to do it.
See, Jen, I actually, at this point in time in the show, I kind of have a confession, and after this, I make this confession, I think I'm just going to hit stop recording, and then I'll post our conversation.
Do I need to get the wine and stale bread?
No, so, as many of you know, I was an atheist. I was a very stingent non-believer. I was very much against William Lane Craig and his, apologists. And then I realized I'm a sex god, so motherfuckers.
I'm a bitch. I'm a cunt god, so I guess this works.
Well, that totally didn't go over half as well as I had hoped it would, but that's why Keith doesn't do improv. So, Jen, are you ready for the last tactic to convert atheists and bring them back to the Lord?
Put it on him.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to hear is very pornographic. No, number 6.
Yeah.
Keep at it. Be a human thesaurus for the word of Jesus. This is foolproof. I know because it's happened every time I have made the grave error of caving to this to have this conversation when the first 15 times I refused to have it didn't work. Since people keep doing this, it must have some profound effect on atheists. Or maybe it just gets pushy Christians off at night. I can't really be sure. So obviously, by the end of this article, she just didn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, by the end of this article, she was essentially saying fuck you.
But it's not wrong. I mean, let's face it. Enough Christians, they go, well, I'm a Christian because I've experienced God. It's not a religion, it's a relationship. Fuck you, motherfucker. If it guides the way you live your life and it can't quite antiquate,
but if you
can't logically make reference to it, it's more of a religion than a philosophy, especially if you have a congregation.
If you want to play that whole, it's not a religion, it's a relationship, then doesn't every relationship in your life become a religion?
And I'm sorry, I need to interject with, if it's a relationship, why are Jesus on the cross dildos so offensive? I mean, isn't sex just another component of a relationship?
Wacky fucking other bitches. I thought monogamy was all about that shit.
That motherfucker. Yeah, well, he was.
One man, one woman.
Wasn't Jesus Christ the last Jew to ever do a sit-up? I don't know. I heard that on a TV show once. I think it was Big Bang Theory.
But that's if it's not a religion, it's a relationship. Then on the back end, isn't every relationship you have in your life a religion?
Whoa, dude! I'm not stoned, and you totally blew my mind. But it's true. You're absolutely right.
And then, aren't you worshiping false idols, which is against your religion?
It's the ironic part to that is the fact that they worship the cross. But, you know, arguably, that's just a symbol. No, it
But I'm
defies it at
saying,
the head of your
do
altars.
you see where I'm going? Do you see where I'm going with this?
I do?
I know technically worshipping the cross is not considered worshipping a false idol because Jesus is the Son of God and therefore a part of God himself.
Yeah, but you've created a false idol, so it's similar to the golden calves. Fuck you, motherfuckers.
It's not a false idol because the golden calf was different God. It's a symbolization of that God, therefore it is
I'd like to ask. I've listened to... I'm going to plug another podcast that I've been listening to because he mentioned my name on one of his shows. Is Thomas of Thomas in the Bible, where he's actually reading the entire Bible. The poor bastard. I don't know why he's done this to himself. I want to get him on the show and ask him what the fuck is wrong with him and see if I can use my psych degree to kind of get it back, an insight as to why somebody is this fucking masochistic.
God, can't you just find somebody to tie you up and smack you around with a belt?
But he's gone through it, and I've made it. I'm almost at Psalms, actually. He's planning on I think his plan is to be done the entire Bible by the end of the year. But this podcast of his, Thomas in the Bible, again, for anybody listening, he is reading the entire Bible and interjecting a rather comical parody when he's talking about, you know, the when Moses is up grabbing the 10 Commandments and bringing them back down. He's sitting there and he's going, "Oh my God! Like, they're gone. Moses is gone 5 fucking minutes, and they're getting ready to worship a fucking false idol. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Why are these God's chosen people? They can't go 5 minutes without worshiping something.
They can't go 5 minutes without cheating on someone.
Oh fuck! I know this.
That's like walking down the aisle, and your man turns around and looks at your bridesmaids and starts fucking at you.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the bride's walking down the aisle, and all of a sudden she notices that the bridesmaid is actually bent over the altar, and the groom is giving it to her, just like, you know, like
balls deep in a real fucking ass crack.
like a fist in a mailbox, just, you know, going right at it. No, that's one thing.
Wow.
I know, right? The imagery.
That was.
You know, Jen,
fucking
I think one day you and I are gonna actually have to do like a video podcast, like maybe we'll do what we did with Chris and David on Heretical Minds. We'll do like a Google Hangouts on air thing, so people can actually watch half the fucking reactions as we make a show.
I think that's what makes the whole show confusing.
Well, I think that's kind of what helps with you and I interacting.
We interact on text, but we just know each other now.
It's true. Actually, a best friend of mine and I, Keaton, he and I laugh.
I love Keaton. I adore him.
He and I laugh because he and I, if you look through our conversations, half the time somebody who is not he or I may not exactly understand what the fuck is going on.
What's going on?
Because we've spent years just developing not only our own way of interacting with each other, but borderline another fucking language.
It's like your own dialect.
Exactly. Oh, that's a good word for. I like that.
I love Keaton and his beard of wonder.
Oh my God, that beard is fucking majestic.
Keaton's beard is like a hair rainbow that comes out of his face.
I don't even know if I can call it a rainbow. It's just
it's a hair
It's
rainbow.
majestic as fuck.
It's a beautiful hair rainbow that comes out of his face and his rose, and it's beautiful. And I call it a hair rainbow because, like, he's got the greatest smile, like, ever.
You haven't even fucking hung out with him. This kid's laugh is
He's
infectious
got, like,
as fuck.
the greatest demeanor, and it's like, he's like the sunshine that just provides this rainbow blue.
Now you need to hear him sing I Want to Do Bad Things With You.
That may wind up with all of our clothes off, and he's very uncomfortable for that.
You have no idea where my comfort levels are. I thought we were friends. Anyways.
Will we be very, very good friends about
yeah.
You would see things that 99% of people I know have not seen.
I hate to say it, but he'd be getting back at me because he's walked in and borne witness to me doing ungodly things.
Come on, I haven't walked into my restaurant fucking before.
Exactly. So.
No, the question is, did he walk out, or was he like me and sat down, it had something to eat, and turned the TV off?
Ta-da!
Surprise, motherfucker!
Ooh, if anyone needs me, I'll be in the Angry Dome.
Okay, so now we come to the time of the show where I'm gonna get fucking depressing, and I'm gonna hop onto what I call Keith's soapbox. I don't know if I'm going to add, what sort of effects I'm going to add, because I kind of want to switch up the segue to that.
Which means Jen's going on her phone and checking her email.
I don't know if you're going to really check your email, because I think this one's going to kind of hit home for you. Okay. That's so not even close to what I was going for. But awesome. In my final thought from episode 11, I made reference to why the religious discussion was a necessary one in response to a friend of mine who kind of gave me grief about the fact that I was hoping to go see Matt Dillahunty this weekend. Then, while editing that episode, it occurred to me I did in fact leave out another reason to have the discussion about religion. And that reason isn't exactly one that's life-threatening, but it still spits in the face of human dignity and autonomy. So I started writing a bit of an addendum to it to underscore what I feel is a bit of a sensitive issue. And it's the fact that identifying as a Christian automatically gives the association with higher moral standing and character. Now, I started writing that. I was going to kind of talk about it at the beginning of episode 12, and then what I'm going to talk about kind of hit me. So I was going to, in what I was writing, I was going on about how people like Jim Staley use their values to rob others of hard-earned savings and potentially even their retirement funds, and that's absolutely atrocious. In what I'm about to say, I'm not trying to downplay that or how offensive I find that to be to human decency, but I did come across another story, and it completely took me over for an entire night. I actually recorded about 20 minutes worth of me just venting about this story and responding to it, and I kind of used that to fuel what I'm writing now, or what I wrote, so I could have a basis to read something for when I do this, so I didn't go off track.
Okay.
So the initial story had the title of "My Pastor Was My Rapist. Alabama Preacher Accused of Sexual Torture, Abuse of Multiple Children." So that title is heinous enough, but what's about to follow is the mortifying tale of Jane, who said her pastor forcibly took her virginity on her father's grave when she was 9 years old. I want that to sink in. Her pastor raped her on her father's grave when she was 9 years old. Now, if that isn't enough to fill you with rage, then let's add the detail that he had spent 2 years grooming her. And I'm going to explain what grooming means here. This grooming consisted of violating her body with a variety of objects, some of which were as damaging as a letter opener. This particular monstrosity began preparing a 7-year-old girl for sexual penetration by a grown man, and he didn't stop using her until she was 12 years old. Now, this pastor has a past that we actually need to address. In 1990, he's alleged to have raped 2 13-year-old girls within 4 months of each other, January and May. I think that's about 5 months. And then 4 years later, other records state that he was alleged to have sexually abused a 16-year-old girl. The congregation that this pastor led, it was described as being cult-like. There were strict dress codes for women. They were forbidden from wearing makeup and had to wear floor-length dresses instead of pants. Now, this should soften the surprise of finding out that to keep her quiet about the rape, he told her that if she reported him to police, demons would come out of her father's grave. But he would leave flowers on the grave if she kept quiet about what had happened. So with this story in mind,
I'm going away, I'm sorry.
I have to ask, without religion, how else would this man have had such easy access to victims? What's more is, how would he have had such control over his prey? Now, it is yet to be determined just how many victims he's gone after. But when these monsters are allowed to run amok with a congregation of desperate, willing people who aren't allowed to go against the grain, how can we not find value in discussing religion? By debunking religious claims, we make it possible for people like Jane to find an escape. We allow them and all the other kids who have been told by clergy that speaking up will result in demons or Satan tormenting them. How can we can allow these victims the chance to get out, the chance to realize that what happened to them is wrong and isn't representative of proper human decency. By By putting forth blasphemy laws and making it a social negative to talk about religion, you are in essence saying that those harmed by it mean nothing. That those who experience the worst humanity and religion have to offer must sit in silence and wallow in what happened to them. The more we chip away at these foundational beliefs and expose them for how false they are, the better prepared we are to get rid of an organization that has profited off of its ability to hide and shelter predators. The more open and honest we are about these topics, the better armed we are for providing help for its victims and an escape for those seeking to get out from an oppressive leader who uses them as a sacrifice for their own delight. And as for those who think we should just let people have their beliefs go unchecked because they themselves are believers, I ask you to tell them your God wanted Jane to have this horrific experience happen to her. This is part of your God's plan. This was necessary. Religion itself may not be an evil when it's kept in its proper context, such as mythology, anthropology, or even history. The studying of how primitive people with primitive knowledge understood and explained the world, studying how ancient cultures thrived and fell, or even how to discern one ancient burial site from another to establish a bit of a timeline for our species, act as a window to our past to learn more about who the fuck we are. In the modern era, religion isn't a sign that someone is evil per se, but it certainly lays the framework for credulous thinking that those seeking to take advantage of others will exploit. Exposing the flaws in thought processes and that a spiritual worldview takes, it just removes one more weapon from the hands of those lacking in consideration for their fellow man. And a telling flaw of religion is its need for adherence to authority and a willingness to submit to the will of another. A person without conscience needs no greater excuse than religion to manipulate another to their own benefit. Bad people are going to do bad things because that is their nature. But religion preaches itself in such a way that it often locks up chickens with the wolf as a guard. Religion may not be a necessary precursor to wicked deeds, but it sure as fuck helps.
Now's the time our sprockets when we dance.
Yeah. Fucking atrocious story. I actually heard about this.
You needed to lighten that up because I was like,
See, and that's why I kind of figured
like
it.
the eye was starting to like stray out of my head, and I was like, oh my god.
In all honesty, I'm not kidding you when I say I recorded about 20 minutes of me just ranting about this story, trying to find something that I could write because I'm sitting there and I'm going, nuh-uh. If there's a reason to have a discussion on the problems of religion, discussing the validity of religion, we need no more perfect example than this one. This one showcases that it relies on credulous thinking, and that predators are going to be attracted to it because it's going to put them in a position of power to take advantage of people who don't know how to properly skepticize what they're saying, who won't sit there and look with a critical eye at what's being told to them.
Like complete and absolute power, other than complete and absolute power.
Exactly. So on that fucking depressing note, it is about time for your hosts to sign off. So with that, have a great day, everybody. Fuck, why do I always say that? Why the fuck do I always...
God, that sounded so fucking cheesy.
Yeah, it did.
Like, we don't want to
have a great fucking day. Alright.
Good night, good evening, good day, ladies and gentlemen. I hope your sex is fantastic and your drama is low. So at least then someone can enjoy their life and I can see what a happy life is.
Baby llama don't want no drama, everybody. Stay frosty, bitches.
Nah.
Jesus Christ is my nigga.
Jesus Christ is my nigga.
Game over.
The Not Another Atheist podcast experience is run by Jenn and Keith. If you wish to contact the hosts, please write to nehehp@gmail.com. They can also be found at facebook.com/notanotheratheistpodcast or search Not Another Atheist Podcast on iTunes to subscribe and leave reviews.
I'm picking up my panties and I'm going home. Okay.